good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Daily 3 with Michael, David, and Donuts.
Michael, David, and Donuts on the Daily 3, where we write it down, eat a donut, make it happen.
Gotta fuel up.
How are you this morning?
Good. I slept in.
Nice. Well done.
Thanks.
Was it a good sleep in, or was it I feel stressed and flustered now that I didn't get up when I was expecting to?
Nah, it feels good. It's a Saturday.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
That's all he has to say about that. Nice. Well, how were your Daily 3 from yesterday, and how did they go?
Well, Daily 3 from yesterday was to spend some time reflecting on the creative work I did.
That's right.
Like God does, and I did that.
Nice.
That was good, and it was something I learned from it is that even it takes discipline even to rest. Because in it, I kept on being like, "Oh, I wonder if I change this." Like, it was so quick for me to go back into like, "Oh, I could tweak this, I could tweak that," and it was just like, "No, David, just."
It was hard to just say it is finished and be okay with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Second thing was to work on the gospel commentary. I did that just a little bit, but I touched it, so that was good. And then the third one was, I forget what the third one was. My first one. But was it to do some...
I think it was editing.
Yeah, for the Daily 3.
Yeah.
And I did that.
Nice.
So, all around a good day.
Solid.
Yeah. What about you?
Let's see. My Daily 3 from yesterday was to plan a video for how to hang drywall and to cut it and hang it and do it, film it. Didn't do that. I sort of started to plan. Not really. I maybe spent like 20 minutes thinking about it and starting to put out a bullet point list of stuff, but didn't really touch that one. And then after that was to do some batch editing, and pretty much did that all day.
Yeah.
So
you worked on that.
Yeah.
A long time.
8.5-ish hours in of just doing that. And then, yeah. So we moved a lot of stuff around, which was good.
What'd you learn about that?
Continued theme. This shouldn't be a surprise, but I significantly underestimate how much time stuff takes. And I think I'm realizing that as I actually look over the course of a week or longer and look how much time are we actually spending doing this, it's like, whoa, it's way more than I thought it would be, kind of thing. But then also too, it's like it does kind of go pretty smooth because we have templates, we have a good system, like we have a good workflow. And so it goes well. It's just, I sort of forget how long I'm working on it. Like I remember, I feel kind of hungry. And I was like, I've been doing this for 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like, you get going from like one thing to one thing to one thing, and you're just moving stuff around, flipping back and forth between different things. And then all of a sudden you're, where'd the time go? And then at that point I was kind of like, well, I'm going to take a break and go eat. And then, I'm not even going to try to set up to start filming for drywall and stuff today. Because I'm like, by the time I get there, start doing it, I'll get halfway through, then have to clean up. It's just kind of a messy project. And then we'll have to leave. Yeah.
So what changes do you want to make?
I don't know if I want to make any.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
It's just observations I made.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just decided to keep working because that made more sense with the amount of time that I had left.
Sure.
At that point in the day.
I meant about like the Daily 3 process. Changes to how much you work on the Daily 3.
Oh, gotcha. I don't know.
What if you limited how much? What if we, in the words of Stephen Covey, began with the end in mind? Like, This is how much time I want to work on the Daily 3. This is how much time I want to.
Yeah.
And then we only do that.
Maybe we just hire an editor then.
We could.
Yeah. Here's the footage. Make it happen. Write it down and you make it happen. So you delegate. Nah.
Or even more. Yeah, you write it down. You make it happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Like,
Did you just say that?
Yeah.
Uh,
Or something similar to it. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I have to think about that. I haven't really thought about it. I'm just making observations at this point, but haven't actually sat down and reflected on that data. But I track it, so I have it, which is nice. Because otherwise, it's like you just wouldn't know. And recognizing too that like
That's like me.
that time had to come from somewhere, right? Like when we think about we have 168 hours in a week, and I look at this and go, okay, I've spent like 27 hours this week on it.
Same as Beyonce, 168 hours.
Yeah, that's yeah. I totally don't remember what I was saying.
Because I said Beyonce?
I was like, where is this going? And then I realized, oh. And I was like, wait, what? No, I don't remember what I was saying. But yeah, so 168 hours in a week. That's all I got. I don't remember.
Just like Beyonce.
Yeah.
It's like the most successful people in the world. Like time is an equalizer. We all have the same amount of time.
Yeah. And we're always spending it.
Absolutely.
To choose not to spend it is to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of...
You can't choose not to spend it. You're forced to constantly.
Always. At the same rate as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Our experience of that rate might be different.
Sure.
Right? Like certain things we are more aware of how fast or slow something seems to be going. But it's still moving actually. In reality, moving at a steady pace.
Which I think is that's encouraging in some ways. I mean, despite it's... So it's just a matter of what you spend your time on.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to... So 168 hours... Wait, what? Yeah, 168 hours in a week.
Mm-hmm.
That still came... Like, that had to come from somewhere else. Right? Because last week I spent those 27 hours on something. This week I spent it on this. So then...
You spent 27 hours on this?
Yeah. So far.
That's insane.
But, I mean, I don't know. I'm batching it too, right? So it's like, I might be able to do that and then not spend that much.
For the next week.
Yeah, or for 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how far in the process we get. You know what I mean? So it's sort of one of those things where it's like, rather than doing, right, because there's a couple different ways we can think about productivity. And I think we've talked about this before, is like the idea of faithfully showing up in the mundane and just like, or like faithfully showing up and continue, like incremental improvement. That idea of progress over perfection. Like, I just need to show up, make a little bit of progress each day. And then all of a sudden you look out and you're like, whoa, over a 2-year period, you can get a lot done. Right. And like, we can think about this, like podcasting that way as well. If we show up every day for 1 year, that's 365 episodes that we'll have published, which in my mind right now is like, that's just an insane amount. But right now, we're already at 25, or somewhere around there. So it's just like, that is crazy. And when we think about like, oh, like say each, I don't know, episode is averaging a half hour, some are more, some are less, but it's like, wow, in the course of a year then, by consistently showing up a little bit every day at a time and being faithful to that, we've made, I don't know, 170 hours worth of video content, which you're like, oh, that's a lot, or video and audio.
That's like, have you heard of that 1% better every day?
Yeah.
Which it doesn't mean you get to 100%. You don't ever get to 100%,
Right.
but you
Which
slowly
is,
get better.
What is it? Asymptotic line is what that's called in math. Like the asymptote, you are always approaching a number, but you never actually get there.
Oh, I didn't know what that was.
Incrementally, I think that's the concept of like what an asymptote is. But yeah, I learned that in Chick-fil-A. That was when I worked there. That was one of like the values was 1% better every day. Like, we are here to make the team 1% better every day, which was kind of just that idea of continual improvement.
So you start at 100%. The next day it'd be like, or just the number 100, it'd be 101.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day it'd be like 102.1. And then, right?
No, because 100% by definition would be something like 100 divided by 100, and you would be there. So getting 1% better doesn't mean you're starting at 100. You never are actually reaching 100.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's a curve. So you're continually getting closer to that, but you're never actually going to hit it.
Perfect.
because it's an incremental. I'm not sure the terms I understand it, but I don't know how to explain it because I'm not sure what terms I'm supposed to be using. But so there's that, right? Or there's the other way to approach work and productivity, which is batching, which is saying I'm going to take this one whole day and set this aside. And I think those are two different ways to operate. And some things make sense to operate in one and not the other, or some can be done in both, right? And I think with something like where batching, I think, becomes effective is where we realize, okay, the cost of switching a task, the cost of so for example, the cost of editing video, and then the energy level or mental capacity or time that it takes to then switch a task and get in the zone on something else is too great. So instead of spending that energy to switch tasks every single day, what we're just going to do is we're only going to spend that energy once and just do it in a big chunk or big block of time. So it's literally then I'm just going to batch edit all of this.
So this is interesting because I think that works for some people, but not everyone. Because I don't know if I work best like that with ADHD, because I'm constantly switching tasks all the time. And I realized that yesterday where it was I was trying to focus on batch, but I was focused on other things throughout the whole time. I was like, oh, I'm going to work on my website here, do this a little bit of this. And then I was like, no, okay, go back. Because what I would find is I would run a process and it'd be processing and it would only take a minute. But in that minute, I was staring at the computer. I was like, oh, I can do something else while this is going. And then I would do something else. And then unrelated to it. And then I would spend 5-10 minutes on that and then be like, oh, that's right. Oh, I need to go back. So I wonder, I don't know. And
for me, I think that's the reason that that part right there is the reason why batch editing is more effective for me.
Interesting.
Because I can be doing something in Final Cut Pro, and then my auxiliary screen over here, that's where I can think, well, that is uploading or rendering or doing whatever it needs to do. I can still do something video related, but it's different. So over here, I might be working on show notes, or I might be working on editing a thumbnail, and then I can move back and forth between these tasks, but they're still within that. If I'm only doing one if we record one episode and I only edit that episode every day, essentially what I have to do then is I can't make that switch.
Yeah.
Because that switch then I'm waiting for it to upload or export from Final Cut onto YouTube. I'm just waiting. I don't have anything else really I can be working on while that's happening. So I have to wait or find something unrelated. And so that I think that's why batch editing, because I have that number, I have what do we have? 14 different episodes, right? 2 weeks worth that I can work on in that given time. So I can bring this one to here, and while I'm waiting for that process, I can bring the next one and the next one, and then I can go over here and work on these. And so I'm so for me, that
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's why
so you spend
batch it is more effective.
because I was just, as you were talking about that, I was just like, oh, I don't think that's true for me.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how my brain I think it's what I've noticed is most effective for me is immediately after we're done, I go and I do the edits immediately. And then I just get it done. And so I was thinking even about I'm going to maybe try today going immediately doing it and trying to create show notes right away. And then
just do it
and just do everything I possibly can.
Yeah. And there are some ways to, people who really produce. I mean, it's not, they've got a totally different setup than we do. Right. So they might actually have someone in a recording room on the other side of the glass. Right.
Right.
And while they might be doing some audio stuff, they might also be hammering out those show notes as the conversation is actually happening.
Yeah.
And editing it as it's being recorded, which is kind of a crazy, but that's, because that's also another, I think another thing to consider from an efficiency and effective standpoint is how many times do I have to touch this?
Yeah. I only want to touch it once.
Yeah. And so it's if I can only touch it once and then get all of the different parts, right? Because it's if I have to listen to it again once to edit it, and then have to listen to it once again another time, and then have to listen to it once more when it's uploaded, and then have to listen to it again after that to do show notes. And it's that's 4 times.
Part of me wonders if we should have little notepads in here, because typing, you can hear typing.
Yeah.
But us just basically each have a notepad and we just write down
show notes.
Yeah. As we're doing it, it's oh, we talked about this. We touched on this.
Yeah. And then because I think right now we're realizing that's the longest part of the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stupid show notes.
Stupid show notes.
I think it's helpful though. It's actually, I
hope it's helpful.
Well, it was helpful for me yesterday because I had a conversation with I forgot her name, but I was like, hey, we're doing this podcast, and it was nice that I was able to tell her, and we do really good show notes, so you can like look through and pick the episode you want to listen to.
Yeah, based on what's in the description.
You can like see exactly what we kind of talk about. And I saw one of those, you actually did it like by time, which was super. I was like, oh, dang, son.
Yeah, I think I did that for 1 or 2, and then I'm like, it's taking too long.
Yeah.
But for YouTube, it's super nice because if you put a time in there, it automatically links it to that
that's amazing.
timestamp in the video. So basically if someone's like, oh, the first I'm interested in hearing only what they talk about on this topic, but I don't want to watch the other 40 minutes of the video, I'll just click that timestamp and it will take you right there to that part of the conversation. Which I think it's nice, but that just adds a lot of overhead.
I'm going to talk first time podcasting with food in my mouth. I get a prize somewhere. I need to link up my Xbox gamer tag so I get an achievement.
Podcasting achievement unlocked.
So it'd be great if we created a service or a program to where we could put, if we could put all those times in our podcast or in the YouTube, and then a service would basically select those clips and then organize it for us on different topics. So we basically have a systematic review or systematic topical. So then you can go and be like, here are all the clips when we talk about shame.
Sure.
Here are all the clips we talk about. That would be super amazing if somehow that could be automated. Yeah. I don't think that exists in the world, but
yeah,
wouldn't that be cool?
Because then someone can find, say there's a very specific thing they want to
focus on topically
learn about, and then they can just hit everything with that.
I mean, that's what systematic theology does with the Bible.
Yeah, basically, rather than listening to the whole, rather than reading the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation, it's just saying we're going to find wherever it talks about this specific topic, and then systematic podcastology. .com.
There we go. I forgot what we were talking about before that, but
the daily 3.
We'll figure out
through 2. My third was to plan. If I got to this one, was to plan a video for spray texturing, mudding, and taping.
Nice.
I did not touch those.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you failed.
I did.
Good job, man.
I did. Thanks, man. What are your daily 3 for today?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. It's Saturday. It's going to be kind of just a more relaxed work day. I don't know if that makes sense. So, one of mine is to clean my room, organize it finally. Lived here about 2 months. I'm still walking through the pile of stuff I moved in and that I have not unpacked and or just kind of strewn about the floor. And I was like, I'd like if this was organized. So, that's my big one. And another one is to clean some part of the house. What was my third one? I don't know. I think third one's just a mystery box.
Mystery box.
Yeah.
Surprise. Open it up and you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Productivity is life like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
That's right. Well, kind of when you have ADHD. That's kind of true. Productivity ADHD is like a box of chocolates. You never know which one you're going to get. You never know what you're going to work on until it's right in front of you.
Have no idea. That's great.
Seriously, this happens. I mean, there's just so many, man. Even yesterday, I was tempted so many times when I saw that stroller upstairs with the wheels.
Not on it yet.
Yeah. Were you tempted by that?
Yeah.
I was like,
this is unfinished. This just needs to get done right now.
I was like, I can do this. This is easy. Let me just go and put the stroller together.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, that's not It's not a part of your daily 3. That's not. But
Yeah.
what are your daily 3 for today?
My daily 3 are number 1, same as yesterday, plan video for how to hang and cut drywall and start doing that in film. And then the other one was to finish a couple more uploads and edits. I realized there was a couple mistakes I made in some of the edits. And so when they actually got uploaded, I was like, oh, I forgot to apply this filter when it exported.
Oh.
So then I was like, I'll delete it and redo it. So that's what I did. And then, I finished that already. So that this morning is done. And then other than that, it was to work on some accounting and billing, invoicing. And I pretty much already did that.
Nice, man.
There's a couple loose ends to tap with that. Should take me like a half hour. And then, yeah, those are my 3.
I know what my third one is. My third one is to create the welcome and about page for Grace Lead. Nice. That was actually my from yesterday that I did not do.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Yeah. Great. Any other thoughts? Any other Saturday thoughts, Michael? Oh, we should talk about. We should mention the business that launched last night.
Oh yeah, we were at a launch party for a couple friends we have who are launching a business called firstlookmn.com.
Firstlookmn.com.
That's right.
Firstlookmn.com.
So they do
stationery.
Yeah.
And
stationery for different events like wedding or baby showers or
really talented.
Yeah, like professional grade stationery design stuff.
And they'll do personal too. I mean, they'll do custom if you get in touch with them.
Yeah.
And then they also make pallet signs. I think that's what they're calling it.
Wood pallet signs.
Wood pallet signs. Really pretty.
Yep.
I think part of it's hand painted. I think some of it's stencil.
Mm-hmm.
But yes. So pretty cool. And right now, if you go to firstlookmn.com, you can see all of the different pallet signs they have available and all the different stationery packages.
Yeah, it was kind of neat. It was really cool to sort of hear their story and hear from them, like, because they've kind of like told us a little bit here and there over the last like 4 or 5 months of like, hey, we're doing this thing, or hey, we're thinking about this. But then to actually like hear them say, oh yeah, here's how it started, like back in December when we had this conversation and we realized, oh, like we both want to do something very similar. Or that would be complementary. Like we should do this together. And then hearing them talk about like that process and that journey of those like 6 months of like preparing something, starting something, and launching something. It was also interesting too. This would maybe be a good conversation for us to have, but like the question of like, how do you launch something?
Dude, they did such a good job of launching it.
Yeah, like
I was blown away.
It was a legit party with like a raffle and a giveaway and a lot of food and a bunch of people.
Oh my
and
gosh!
About like a bunch of stuff displayed, and
I felt like I was kind of like a
website launch,
art gallery sort of a bit. And
yeah, I was like, wow, I feel like I should have maybe dressed up a little bit more for this.
I know. I was super impressed.
So that was really, but like, I don't know. I mean,
I need to learn how to launch something.
Yeah.
I should,
or like it's interesting because I've heard different people talk about this before of like launching is good and smart and strategic, and then I've also heard about people saying like launching something is overrated. Just go do the work. I just listened to Seth Godin's Akimbo podcast about that. I think his first one, he talks about how the start. Yeah, the start is overrated.
The start is overrated, but it's still important, I think.
Right.
It doesn't have to be this huge bang. And I don't think they're like, I don't believe their start was overrated at all. Like, I think it was like a great, I think it was like a fitting start to what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I thought they did it really well. Firstlookmn.com.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. And even to just like learn from it and even think about, like, honestly, I started thinking about the daily 3. I was like, like, did we start this or launch this well? Or it's like looking back, I wonder what were there things we could have done better? And there probably always are, right? But it was just like we
did it the Seth Godin way. We just did it. We just did it.
We're just doing it. It's fungal, which means it's in the dark and it's growing. It's definitely not viral, but it's just, it's there.
Well, because he mentioned in that podcast, and we'll put a link to it in the show notes, where when way back in the day when he was in a group and he like Sergey from Google was there. And talking to him, and he's just like, we don't do any direct marketing or anything because we figure one day everyone is going to know about and everyone is going to use Google. So all we're focused on is making the best product
Yeah.
and like the best search engine that we know.
Right.
And because we know everyone will know and use us in the future. And it was like kind of arrogant, but also kind of like, well, in some ways your priorities are I appreciate the priorities as a consumer of like, oh, you made a really good product.
Yeah.
I can search the entire internet in
Right.
less than a second. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's really interesting too, because like Google has been around, at least in my, like it's so common. It is such a commonplace thing now, right? Of like, it's become a verb, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm going to Google that.
Yeah.
Or I Googled this or Google that, you know? So it's just like so much a part of our vernacular and what we do and how we use it, that it's like when I actually think back to the first time I ever heard about Google, it was from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh yeah, I was looking for that on Google. And I'm like, what's that? They're like, it's a search engine. You should try it. And so it's interesting how like that focus.
You never saw commercials for Google.
Right. Never. And so it was this interest of like essentially their users became their marketers.
Mm-hmm.
They're like best sort of brand evangelists, if you want to say it that way. So that was like a really, that word of mouth.
I love that idea though.
Yeah.
He says, if you have all you need to do, and this is, man, this is so good. Go listen to this podcast. He just said basically develop something and then give it to 10 people, 10 people who probably know and love you. And he says, and if they use it and like it, they will tell other people and then it will spread.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't spread, great, go make it better.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much it. Like if you want to launch something,
Right.
find the 10 people, give it to them. If they think it's good, they'll tell other people about it. If not, refine it. That's,
Until it's good enough to be worth, like another concept he's talked about is the idea of being remarkable. Like make your things remarkable. And by remarkable, he doesn't mean like kick it out of the, knock it out of the park, but he means like what remarkable like means at a very basic level is it's worth making a remark about. And that describes like what you're talking about of someone uses something, some product or service, and they tell someone else, they make a remark about it. Like that's what it means to make something that is remarkable. And if you just do that, it will grow over time. Not fast, especially in the beginning.
No.
But over the long haul, if you're playing the long game and committed to solving problems for people you care about and problems that matter and doing work that matters, that's how you get there.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Well, you heard it here first or second
or long after.
It's that clip from
This is
The Office where were you going to say that?
No, go for it.
Where Michael Scott has Wayne Gretzky, and then I forget. There's like 3 layers deep or something where he quotes someone, and then it's like Wayne Gretzky said it, and then Michael Scott said it. That's what I feel like just happens. Like,
and in some ways, right, we're talking about like remarkability, and what's interesting is Seth Godin's podcast, Akimbo, that episode was remarkable because right now we are making a remark about it.
Oh, meta.
First Look MN, their
launch
was remarkable.
It was.
And we're making a remark. This isn't a paid advertising segment. There's no. It's not like, oh hey, I'm going to drop a shout out. It's just like, oh, this actually is worth just mentioning because it remarked upon me.
Dang it!
So I'm remarking about it.
We should have set up that business deal last night. Hey, we'll give you a shout out for
on the podcast
for I don't know how much.
50 cents. I don't know.
I was going to say like 5% of anything you make off of people who come and buy stuff from you from the Daily 3, but I don't know how to do any sort of that, but
yeah. Anyway, anything else?
That's a book title right there. Remarkable marketing or remarketing?
Remarketing. There you go.
Remarkable
bullying.
Somehow we got to put those words together. That's it. That's all I got.
We'll throw that together. So that puts another episode of the Daily 3
into the ground
and bury it. Let's throw the dirt on it now before we go any further.
That's absolutely. Every episode we just drive into the ground.
Write it down.
Make it happen.
And make it remarkable.
Thanks.
Dear refuge of my weary soul, on thee when sorrows rise, on thee when waves of trouble